Hey guys, so welcome back to part 4, which is painting the Space Marines. And what you want to do is over top of your gray primer, you want to essentially base coat the whole model with the Mordian blue color. So we're going to want to base coat the whole gun using Chaos Black. Okay, and it's pretty simple. It's just base coating, just dilute it a little bit so it runs a little smoother. It will take roughly 2 coats, if not more. But once again, that is fine. Having multiple layers is much better than having to do one layer, which makes your model look like crap because the paint is so thick. It will ruin detail. It will leave a plasticky kind of look. It'll be shiny, and essentially it won't look good because the paint will have a harder time sticking to that plastic surface than it will sticking to, you know, a nice smooth surface. So there we go. Let that dry and then do another coat of that. Now you also want to pick these details out in black too. The little, I guess the joining things for all the arms and legs and stuff. Alright. Alright, so using Mechrite Red, we are just going to paint this seal. Just like that. Okay? And you're good to go. Try not to get a little paint spillage over here, but that's okay. We can always go over that. It's part of the metal area, so I'm just going to take my black. Just grab that. There we go. So using bleached bone, I'm just going to come in, I'm just going to paint this. You want to thin the bleached bone just a little bit, once again, to help it run a little smooth, more smoothly, more smoothly, more smoother, smoothest, who knows, who cares. There we go. That'll need a second coat, and yeah, just let that dry and move on. Alright, using Kelton Brown, we're just going to come in, paint that. Okay, it'll take 2 coats. There you go. Okay, so now we are going to paint the shoulder pad trim using Eandon Dark Sun. Now you see this little arrow here. We're actually going to not paint that arrow yellow. We're actually going to paint that arrow white. So you want to kind of just try your best to get a clean line just underneath it. Okay? And I always start with that, because then when you move on to the rest, it's already, it lets you know where you need to go, because there's only, like, you have a limit. Whereas right there, you could get into the arrow. Try to just leave a nice clean line. Doesn't really matter, because we're going to be going over that with yellow, or white, sorry, we're doing yellow now. And just kind of, you know, take your time with this. It's a little tricky. Okay, and don't be afraid to do 2 coats. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do is we're going to paint the metals, okay? So I'm just using our metallic color. I'm going to paint the whole gun except for this looking thing, okay? That little kind of casing almost. And it's okay if you do get paint on it, because you can just go over it in black. It's really not that hard at this stage to just kind of repaint things. Okay. And remember, once again, metallics are just like normal paint. Thin them a little bit for the base coat. Make them look nice. Don't worry about it. or else they'll dry gloopy and clumpy and other adjectives. Now, pretty much everything we painted black except for this little plate right there, and this little skull. Let's get this skull. Okay, we want to paint all the things we painted black before. We're now going to paint metallic. So this thing here, okay, and all of these things in here, don't really know what to call them. And by the way, I painted that grenade Narlock green, which was our green color. You could paint it black if you want to keep the overall color scheme pretty simple. Alright, and there you go. Now we're going to wash the model. Oh wait, nope. Missed a part. And also get in. Come on. Come on. We're also going to get in here. And there you go. So, to paint the white, what we're going to do is, all I did was I took my white and I added just a drop of black to it, and that's going to give me a nice gray color, and I'm going to thin it down, and we're going to do a couple coats for this. As you see, it's pretty thin, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is because we don't, if we try to put it on too thick, especially for white, it'll really be bad. You'll be able to see all the brush strokes. So keep it thin, and just do a couple layers. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry, and then we'll be back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to wash the model with Bedazzled Black, and then we're going to wash the Purity Seal and the white part, well, not the white part, the Purity Seal and the yellow part with Devlin Mud. Okay, we don't want to get Chaos Black on the yellow. It'll make it look like crap. The Chaos Black on yellow will actually produce a weird green color. We don't want a weird green color. Now, what I like to do is I like to thin my Bedazzled Black with just a little bit of water, so that way it's a little smoother. You want to get it on that narrow bit. So I want to put this pretty much on everything except for the yellow and the Purity Seal. You can also put it on the brown. It's actually not going to do anything to the brown. It'll darken it, but it won't change its overall color. Come on, same focus. Now with this, we're actually going to be mostly going over a lot of what the wash is doing, and we're mostly just going to leave it in the recesses when we go to highlighting this, but oh well. Washing the whole model will give you an idea of what's going down. Alright, and once you've done that, you're now going to want to wash the yellow and the purity seal with Devlin mud. Get this purity seal. The yellow. Okay, and then there you go. Let that dry, then we'll move on to highlighting. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to layer up with Mordium Blue. So we're going to take Mordium Blue, we're going to thin it just a little bit, make sure to wipe off a lot of the excess off on a piece of paper towel. And what we're going to do is we're going to layer up to make a more even surface and a clean looking surface for our second highlight for the blue. Okay. And the trick to layering is you want to leave a bit of the previous layer showing through still. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a gradation. And what a gradation is it's going to show kind of a series of colors going from light to dark or dark to light. And in this case, it's dark to light. I'll try and stay in focus in the camera for you. And it's pretty much, this is the same technique we used with the orcs. So nothing new here, but in case maybe you bought the Assault on Blackreach with a friend and they have the orcs, you have the Space Marines, then you're not used to doing this. So, I mean, that's why I'm doing both. You just want to come do all this. Right, you just want to get everything. Just everything you see, I've already kind of done the one side. And you just want to make it so everything you see, just add a layer of Mordium Blue back onto it. Leave the darkest recesses, the shade we created by using the wash. Right, and you see, what I'm doing is just moving the paint around, and there you go. Alright, and now to finish off the model, I'm just going to add the skull white to the Mordium Blue, and we're going to do what's called edge highlighting. Now this is different than layering, because layering we're covering the whole area, whereas edge highlighting, what we're doing is we're only going to hit, well, the edges. And you do want to thin this paint down, but you don't want to thin it down too much. Now you can if you want to make it look really nice and kind of blend really well, but you know, for tabletop stuff, not really important. So this is kind of the effect we're going for on this side. Alright, just hit the edges. And let's try this. You're going to use the edge of the brush as opposed to the tip. Now it looks like I'm using the tip, but I'm actually using the edge of the tip essentially. Okay, here I'll show you. I want to use the side. Put this guy upside down. Alright, and just use the side of the brush. Because if you try and use the tip, what will happen is you don't have as much control, whereas just by using the side you create essentially just a small area where the paint can come off and hits the model. Let's do the face. And just take your time with it. You want to be as neat as possible when it comes to the final highlight. Now let's do the shoulder pad. Everything else is pretty much straightforward, just do it on the edge. But the shoulder pad is the only thing that doesn't have edges. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I like to do this with the model upside down, and then you're just going to use the very tip of your brush. You're not going to push down hard. Just use the tip of your brush and kind of just make a line up. Okay, it's hard to do with a camera in front of your face, I think you get the idea. Okay, and you're just going to kind of do that. Try to make it as thin as possible. As you saw over here, it's pretty thin, but I did that one without a camera in my face. This one, there's a camera in my face. Let's see if I can do this again. Alright, that's about as thin as you want it. Not too thin, not too thick. And then you want to do it around the bottom, just above where you did the shading. Kind of like that. And like that. Okay? Now once again, try to keep it thin. With the camera in front of my face, it was pretty hard, but whatever. And then that's it for the blue. I'm gonna go finish that up. Alright. Now we're gonna highlight the yellow, and we're just gonna use, again, in Dark Sun. I'm not a huge fan of the color yellow, and we don't have anything really to highlight with. I'm not a huge fan of highlighting yellow with white, so we're just gonna highlight it with the yin and Dark Sun, and then that'll be good. So you just want to thin it a little bit, and just kind of put it in the most exposed areas of the yellow. So kind of leave it in the shadow over there. So we're going to kill two birds with one stone, and we're going to do the eyes and the purity seals at the same time. So we're just going to kind of re-base coat it by using Mechrite Red. Just kind of like that. And we're going to base coat the eyes with Mechrite Red. Just like that. Okay. Let that dry and we'll move on to the highlight. Alright, so to highlight the purity seal, what we're going to do is we're just going to add white to the Mechrite Red. Make a pink color. And it's going to make it look like wax. Okay, just like that. To highlight the eyes, first I'm going to add a Yandon Dark Sun to the red, and this actually produced a weird kind of brownish color. I was kind of hoping for an orange, but whatever. And you're going to put that kind of at the front of the eye, like that. Okay. Just like that. And once that dries, we'll move on to the final highlight. Okay, so I'm going to try and do this with a camera in my face. Hopefully it works. You're going to take pure skull white and put a dot right at the back. Okay, and that's going to create a reflection. Okay, make it look like it's a screen of some sort. Alright, you get that. And now we just have to paint that, and then we'll be done. So, to get a nice, smooth white, what you want to do is we want to take just our normal white and we're going to thin it down. And it's going to take a couple layers, but that's okay because the results are worth it. Okay, so make sure to wipe off on a piece of paper towel and make sure your paint is thin, and then just kind of brush upwards. As you see, it's pretty thin. That's good, because otherwise you'll see all the brush strokes and it'll be thick and gross. That's not what we want. We want it to be nice. You're going to want it to dry in between layers. So that's one layer. I'm going to let that dry before I move on. Alright, now going on to the second layer. We're just pulling the paint up. This is going to take, maybe 5 layers. 4 or 5. I'll show you what it looks like right now. That's what we got right now. See, it's splotchy. This is going to take 4 or 5 layers to get a nice, smooth, even coat. And that's good. You want that. You want smooth. You want even. Otherwise, it's not going to be smooth and even. Anyways. So, yeah. I'm going to plug away and go do that, and then I'll come back and show you. Hey guys, so this is what it looks like once you've done all the edge highlighting. You've gotten everything all painted, and look at the white. It's very whitey looking. Okay, so this is what you want to look for. Now, stay tuned because we are going to be doing a couple more videos than you saw on Black Reach set. We are going to be doing how to paint the Dreadnought, how to paint the Deathcopter, how to paint the Space Marine Captain, and how to paint the War Boss. Because we are going to paint the War Boss and the Space Marine Captain to a higher detail than these guys to push your painting skills to the next level. Now, go ahead and paint all of your Space Marines like this, okay? Go do it right now, but leave the Space Marine Captain and the Dreadnought, and you can paint the Terminators the same. It'll be fine. In fact, you might as well. So paint the Terminators the same, the knobs will be the same as the normal orcs. Go paint the orcs, go paint the Space Marines, leave the Captain, the War Boss, the Dreadnought, and the Deathcopters, and then we'll get to those in a later video. And also, I'm going to be doing a special video on how to take these tabletop guys and make them look even cooler by just taking them and doing some extra work. Well, that'll be later on, and that'll be called detailing, and that'll be before we do the Space Marine Captain and the War Boss. So check that out, get ready for that, and hopefully you guys learned a lot. Have a good one.